You're listening to a Roddenberry podcast.
Very furniture-centric show. First, we've got the guy who designed a chair, and later, we got the guy who sat in it. So it's the full Star Trek chair experience all in one. And it's 7 p.m., and you're with us, so it must be time for Mission Log Live. I'm Norman Lau.
And I'm Holly Amos. Tonight, it's our last show covering Star Trek Picard Season 3, and we have some incredible guests for you. So if you want to grab your spot in line in the Earl Green Room, you can click on the Zoom link, or you can give us a ring using the one tap from your smartphone, or you can call us at 669-900-6833. Enter the meeting code and password you see in the show notes.
So as our callers are probably very quickly getting in line to get into the Earl Green chat, we're going to talk a little bit about some homekeeping here, what's going on with Mission Log this week, because we have a couple of great shows for you. On Thursday, for the regular Mission Log drop, we have Unity. It's the Voyager episode where Chakotay engages with the Borg. Kind of. Kind of. But John and I were very proud of that show. So listen, stay tuned, and hopefully you will enjoy it as much as we prepared it for you. And on Tuesday, speaking of prepared, in a very special show, on Tuesday, May 9th, which is tomorrow, if you're listening to this show tonight, if you're watching the show, Mission Log Prodigy drops our very special unboxing episode for the Playmates Prodigy Wave 1 action figures. So Shar, Earl, and I had this incredible time geeking out over action figures, tearing open the packaging, fawning all over Murph and Dow and Gwen and Jankum and Zero. I wish we had Hologram Janeway and Rock. We'll get to them, but please stay tuned for that episode to drop because it's fantastic. Earl has a couple of special things in store for you. You're going to want to watch that and subscribe to our feed there at youtube.roddenberry.com. Make sure you look for the Prodigy feed and all the shows there. Subscribe to all the shows at that channel, and we thank you for that because it helps us with the algorithm when you're looking for shows. And with that, I tried to do that all in one breath, and it was pretty unsuccessful, as you could tell. But we have a double-packed feature show for you tonight. We're going to jump right into our first guest. I want to say hi to everyone first in the chat. I don't want to, ignore our chat. And Holly, your dad was first, by the way. Again,
hi, Dad.
So, and I didn't want to completely gloss over Holly here because Holly's here for our final show. Are you excited? I'm excited.
Yeah. I'm wearing my Chicago shirt, guys.
Can you explain that for us, by the way, just to show
my Chicago shirt?
Yeah.
Mission Chicago, the show that was last year in Chicago, but it's Chicago deep dish and Chicago hot dogs.
Okay, so for the main hull, you have a deep dish pizza. For the secondary hull, you have half a cheesesteak sandwich, and for nacelles, of course, you have hot dogs. So
I just thought it was clever. It was a cute little design that they had at the show, so I got it and I'm wearing it for good old Todd.
Love it. So we're going to get to our special guest, in the second half of the show, but we have our very first special guest here that we want to get to right away as the chat lines up. So very special friend here for Mission Log, and we are so thankful that you can be here for us on the show tonight. We have production designer for Picard's, seasons?
2 and 3.
2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Blass. Hey,
Yay.
Dave.
Thank you very much for having me. Excited
Welcome.
to be here with you guys.
It's great to have you here. I know this sounds very like Hollywood kind of podcast, but could you tell the viewers tonight what you're wearing, first of all?
Well, Todd's on tonight, so I'm sporting my Titan outfit and Titan cap. So, you got to pay homage to the captain himself. So, a little swag,
Love it. Absolutely love it. Well, thanks. I mean, I know you're busy. We appreciate you taking the time to be here with us. I'm sure that all of the chat and all of our callers that are lined up have a lot of questions for you. But this is a theme that we were doing like last week with a lot of our listeners and a lot of the fans. And it's kind of like just a general thing of kind of like taking a step back and looking at Picard and where we're at right now. And I just wanted to ask you one question to start everything off. How do you feel?
How do you feel?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's kind of like I think Warren Beatty said it best. He's like, when you're putting together a project or a show, it's kind of like throwing up, and it's like it's the build up, and it's it's gonna be messy, but you just got to get it out there, and then once it's out there, you kind of feel better, but then it's over, and you just have this weird kind of feeling. So,
did he really say that?
Oh yeah. He's like, yeah, it's what doing a doing a movie's like. And he's like, yeah, it's messy. It's never the way you imagine it. But fascinating fellow. But yeah, it's weird because this is the first time going back to the Enterprise and that era where 20 episodes of a Star Trek show were shot back to back. So it's like, and it's been Discovery and Strange New Worlds and everything doing 10 episodes or 13 episodes. But, we did actually 20 episodes, one right after another. So it was a crazy whirlwind in the middle of a pandemic, and then it's over. And then you're kind of getting your payoff in a bit of a delayed reaction because we had season 2 and then
and you guys had to wait. A lot of you had to keep that a secret for a long time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, well that's the thing. You're sitting there going, the funniest thing that for me was, I'm like, you guys, there's gonna be a payoff to this carpet, debacle. Everyone's complaining about the carpet. I'm like, oh my God, I'm sitting on this joke for literally almost a year. And I'm like, because people don't realize the timing of it. It's like, yeah, no, that Picard joke, I missed the carpet, was recorded, done in the can before season 2 came out. So it's like, we knew the joke. We knew that, and we knew what fans were into. So it's just kind of funny. But the fact that all the secrets kept as long as they did was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, there were like cameo after cameo and Easter egg after Easter egg, but look at like all the way back to like when you had your first couple of like production breakdown meetings with Terry. The tone of the show is changing a little bit. You're focusing on like Doug Drexler. He loves kind of like soft spoiling things on Facebook. He's like, you love starships, you're going to love this season. If you love LCARs, you're going to love this season. And he was mentioning that, at one of our kind of like pre-season 3 shows when we had him on a couple of weeks before we started this main show. And was that kind of like the tone of the meeting when you guys first started breaking down like production assets and things you needed to design for Picard? Like, okay, we got to kind of think about it in this future TNG kind of way?
Not really, because it was, again, it's just bizarre, like trying to explain to people. It's like I'm going from one meeting where we're talking about Borg running around in the cellar of Chateau Picard to a meeting about the Titan. And it's like, it's happening the same thing. So it's like, I'm literally doing season 2 at the same time as season 3. And it's like, so it was like and that's the other thing is the Stargazer wasn't even a thing yet. So we're still finishing building the Stargazer, and we're not even done with, putting the paint on it, and it's just become the Titan. So it's like, we're like, okay, it's going to change the name, whatever, but we still have to finish this because we hadn't even shot it. So we were still trying to figure out how to do season 2 stuff. And we knew that, Friday we're finishing season 2. Monday we starting season 3. So that was we're still trying to figure out how we get the graphics on all these cool monitors and, what's out the back window and how is this going to work and doing this. And then at the same time, we're barely getting that done. And it's like, okay, now let's change all of the graphics because now it's not the Stargazer, it's the Titan. So get ready to have a second set of everything to go up and change in a very short amount of time and figure out all the, the deck plans and all that stuff that, they had years to do on TNG. We had weeks to do for season 3. So in terms of like building the sick bay and all the other fun stuff.
One of our, I'm sorry, go ahead, Holly.
I was going to ask him if he had if you had a hard time keeping everything straight at any point.
Oh yeah. It's constantly. I mean, it's like, and you're sitting there and you're going, and it's a constant evolving thing because, then we get into, like the whole District 6 thing. And that was a big exterior set that we did. And it was, if you've ever seen the movie American Sniper, it's turning the American Sniper Iraqi village into a futuristic town square. And that was, a challenge because obviously that's out on location. So it's, leaving the studio, going out and checking on that and doing all that stuff. So it's all happening one on top of another on top of another. So yeah, it's and that's always the thing. If you run out of bandwidth or stage space or whatever to you're trying to put as many things into the studio as possible, and you're like, well, where are we going to put? We need a new thing, but where does it go? And so it's always a challenge.
How do you keep like departments from crossing over and making sure that everything's so streamlined? I mean, who is that eventually up to, and in production?
It's the art directors kind of, and again, it's a little bit of everything, but you end up having everyone on set. I mean, we had famously there was the table that Shaw climbs into and takes apart the nacelles, and he's in there. That had every single department in it. So at one point, there's I think Liz posted the photo. There's like 9 people like cramming into that one little table to adjust their stuff to get it done by tomorrow, because the special effects had it on a rig that raised and lowered it. The props guys had cable that they were doing. The lighting guys were trying to put lights in so you could see Todd's face, and it was a unique thing. But that that's just pretty standard for the industry.
I remember when you came in and came up on stage with us in Star Trek Las Vegas, you were carrying a very specific kind of like a single bottle like wine carrier, and then you dropped it, and it was kind of like a fishnet, and it kind of like it turned into like a flat mat with a bottle of Chateau Picard. Was that the same prop that Picard used when he gave that bottle to Shaw?
Yeah, that was the Picard Shaw bottle. Yeah.
Okay, I thought so. When I saw that, I'm like, nice touch, Dave. Nice touch. I remember that.
Picard also brought this. Picard brought the same one to Raffi in season 2 as well. In season 1.
No, in season 1, when she's out in the desert. Yeah,
out in the desert. Yeah, at Vasquez Rocks.
Yeah.
We have about 1 or 2 more questions here that we can get to Dave, and then I'd like to start opening up the callers, because I'm sure the callers are like, Norm, please get off, because we want to talk to Dave too. But I have a billion questions to ask you, but I'm sure we can get to those later. One last question I would like to ask you, Dave. So was there a ceremony when the Enterprise D was finished and then finally unveiled for everybody? Because it was one of those momentous occasions where everyone's like, like a bottle of champagne was broken and everyone like shed tears. I mean, was it like that?
No, it was me freaking out at the 18 million people taking selfies on it, going, okay, that's one more thing I can't control. But no, it was, it was kind of one of those things that I wish it was more of that thing where it was kind of cordoned off in a corner, but it's right in the middle of the soundstage and the offices, and people are, the doors are open, the people are walking by going, ooh, look at that, and walking in. The only time we had something of a thing was the first day that the actors came in, and they had a little bit, but that was right before they were going to shoot their scene. They were brought in. So, but yeah, it was, there was never, because everyone's working on it in every department. It's, the playback guys are in there, the lighting guys are in there, camera, and, it's been going on for months. So it was not a secret that was hidden, and then all of a sudden you reveal it, because it really is a team effort of people who have to come together to bring it and make it happen.
Did you guys have trouble sourcing anything in particular? So, because that bridge is an entire rebuild.
The carpet was a big challenge. We talked about that because it was out of date 1980s.
I'm sure you guys spent a lot of time on the color specifically. Yes. Yep.
It was the color and the texture.
Oh, okay.
So you get that. It has like a little dot pattern, but it was finding the right color with the right texture, with the right height, because it has to match with the gray.
Yeah.
The fabric for the chairs was another unique one, because there's like 3 different colors on the captain's chairs that you have to blend together. So you get something that had the right texture, but not the right color or the right sheen. But yeah, it was a unique challenge.
Oh, well, it turned out great. I'm sure you saw my tweet where I made a comment about the carpet, and then immediately after Picard said his line. But the carpet is something that I've had to fixate on for stuff that I've worked on too. So you guys did a really good job.
Yeah, the paint work, we had an amazing scenic team, and they did a beautiful job on the horseshoe. and they actually like matched the actual wood grain.
Wood grain, yeah.
From so that was and incredibly hard to do. But that was something that you have some incredibly talented artisans who can do it. The carpet was just like that thing of going, well, here's 100 color reds, but they're all wrong.
Right.
So, or you put them next to something and they'd be,
But it's also, I feel like it's impressive that not only did you guys get it so right, knowing that there was stuff, it was fully from scratch and stuff was out of date, but also that you guys did it that quickly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was quick but again, you just get used to it. And so you get, again, as I said, we got used to turning over sets from one thing into another, changing them over. So it's something you do in Hollywood. But yeah, the fact we were able to do that. I think the Stargazer took 6 months, whereas the Enterprise took like 2.5. So
wow, that's very impressive.
Yeah. Some comments here in the chat. The bridge was awesome. Thank you, Paul. And Jim McMahon says the job done to recreate the bridge was beyond top notch. And I think that it's that cast member that's never really talked about, but it's always there, and you always depend on the Enterprise to be there for you and for the cast. So it had to be done. It had to be done impeccably, and especially under high definition cameras, because that's picking up probably more than the original cameras probably ever did back in 87.
Well, also you're getting and much talked about. People said the Stargazer in season 2. They're like, oh my god, it's so big compared to the Enterprise D, and then all of a sudden you get on the D with the wide angle lenses. Mm-hmm. And you realize, oh, okay, it's actually not the bridge; it's the camera. And you're going from a square frame to a wide screen thing, and it just makes everything look bigger.
See, folks. So next time you want to watch the Stargazer and make it look in scale, watch it 4:3. Then you'll feel fine about it. Yeah. Exactly. We're going to jump to a couple callers here. Dave, thanks, callers, for being patient. We just wanted to, get our little, geekery questions in there before you guys do. So we're going to jump in with Paul Harvith. Paul, how are you?
I'm good. Norman, Holly, it's great to see you. Dave, what a pleasure to see you again. I saw you in the bridge last year carrying that prop, and I so wanted to snatch it out of your hands and own something from Picard. So we managed to land a few things in the auction, so we're pretty happy there. My question's about season 2 and the observatory. The place where Picard as a young child is running around, it's all beat up. And then
the Solarium, we called it.
Yeah, Solarium. So was it beat up first, or was it built nice first and then you beat it up?
Fine question. It was beat up first, because the first time we see it is when Picard walks in there and it's all beat up and broken, and then it really it spins the logic world, which is, okay, when does it actually get nice? And you're like, it goes from beat up and destroyed in his present day, and then you go all the way back in time to our present day, and it's beat up again. So it's only nice when he's a kid, and it's been abandoned for a while. So it was kind of a mind spinner there. Because we were like, wait, when do we see this? Then it's not beat up, and it's like never really. But it was like really the only time that it should be not beat up was when he comes in as a kid. But that's the time that they specifically said, oh, it's all covered in vines, and it's like, wait, okay. But then we see it, and then it progressively gets nicer. But then we put a mural on it and such.
So you did that. So you started it beat up, and then it got progressively nicer as you worked it, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Wow. I would think that you'd film all of it, and that you can in one and then the other, but I guess.
Oh no, and then we would go back and forth and back and forth. And that was it's always a unique challenge doing that. It's like when the same thing with the chateau. It's like you would think you would shoot all of the stuff with the chateau being nice.
Right.
And then
beat it up.
And then, but it's like, no, in the finale, and again, we came back. If you look at beginning of season 3, the chateau is all nice again. There's the scene with Loris, and he gets the communicator call. Well, we had just completely destroyed it for all of season 2. So we're like, oh, you got about 2 weeks to fix the chateau, and it's just that weird thing of, people don't, and no one wants to hear me complain about it, but it's like, okay, yeah, coming to the end of season 2, the chateau's all beat up, the things. Okay, well, we had to clean up the solarium, for the final scene because Picard comes back with Laris and she's restored it. So then that's where they play that final scene. And it's like, oh, okay, and the reason why was the inside of the chateau wasn't finished yet. We're like, okay, we're going to do that, but we got to get the chateau done for the first scene and whatever. And they're like, oh, well, can't we do the, let's shoot the Titan first. I'm like, I'm still doing all the graphics for the Titan because 2 days ago, the Titan was the Stargazer. and then they're like, well, what about, we'll do Beverly's ship, the Ilios. I'm like, nope, can't really do that.
That's an entirely different ship.
Yeah. What about District 6? I'm like, oh, the pain. Yeah. So yeah.
That's wild that you guys did it like almost in real time with how the show unfolded.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's just insane.
If you look at the chateau in season 3, you only really see that one, the living room, that main library area, because the kitchen and the hallways and wasn't restored yet. So.
Oh, no, I'm in his study. Yeah. Dave logged on and was like, you have a nice living room. Wait. Yeah. It's like, no, that's not.
I've been there before. Never been to your house, but I know your house. Right?
I've seen this before somewhere. So that leads me into what was going to be my last question. I wanted to ask you, what is the Easter egg, the secret missing thing, or something that's out of place that shows up in the video that you know about, but nobody else knows about, and they'll really have to look close. And, we got this really nice little crowd here. So those who listen here will know, but nobody else has to know.
Oh, really?
Is there anything that you remember that said, man, I left that there and I should have moved it?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Oh,
so we got to start looking for you.
Wait. Is there something that was made it into the show that I didn't want to make it into the show?
No, not on purpose. Let's say if you had dirtied it up and then you had to clean it up and then you have to dirty it up again. How do you know you do it the exact same way?
Oh, right? we take photos. We do it. I mean, there's always something that slips through the cracks. I think I remember seeing in one of the shots there's like, and our friend Jorg will always point out, oh, look, there's the thing. And I'm like, yeah, okay, dude, I get it. I messed up on the thing. But it's like the one that I think it really gets me was the Bajoran tablet, that Cisco's tablet. And they did like a promo piece. And I had set up the whole room and made it look pretty. And then I went to go solve 8 million other problems. So I wasn't there when they did the slow pan across the tablet. I'm like, and then I see the piece and I'm like, oh my God, the fans are going to go crazy over that. Cause I mean, it was just complete red and everyone, oh my God, the Bajoran thing, and they're going to bring back Cisco. They're going to, I'm like, and literally when they were shooting it, they had no idea.
Well, it's, I just want to thank you for your work. And I want to tell you that, and that's be my last thing, the study where Laris has the talk with Picard in season 2 is one of our favorite. Just I love the actors, I love the clothes, the setting. That study is just amazing, and it has its own feel to it. I so want a room like that, like Holly has behind her only.
Yeah, it was such an amazing set, and the thing that kills me, it was 2 stories. And we only really, you kind of like in one shot see the hyperwave, but it was like a whole nother level that you get up with the spiral staircase and like there was all books and 8 million Easter eggs and all these things up on the second level too, that we just never saw.
I really need that room now with all of our extra books. So I'm going to pass it on to one of our great callers. I want to thank everybody here and thank you for your time, Dave. And Holly and Norman, we'll see you guys down the line.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul. Glad to have you here with us. Before we get to Alan, we're going to do a little bit of a break here because, and Dave, we want to make sure that we get a lot of our callers in to ask you more questions, but you're more than welcome to stay with us after the break. We're just going to do a little bit of ad here and talk about what's coming up with Mission Log. And we're going to get right back into the callers and with someone that you may know, someone that maybe a lot of people here may know. So hang on for 1 second. And one of the things that I just wanted to let everyone know, that that Mission Log is wrapping up our coverage of Picard, but we're not wrapping up Mission Log Live, and we're going to be back in the next couple of weeks because we're going to be starting our discussions for Strange New Worlds. So on Discord, if you're part of our Discord community, and if you subscribe to us on Patreon, one of the things we do there is we have these live chats where we talk about different topics. In Discord, we talk about obviously Picard. We talk about Strange New Worlds as a live chat show, and that has been spearheaded by one of our members and very good friend to our show here. And Heather is in the chat, so say hi, Heather, if you're out there, and maybe tell them a little bit about the show in chat. But the show does talk about Strange New Worlds as a recap, and we're going right into Spock Amok this week on Wednesday. So stay tuned to Mission Log, either on Facebook or Twitter, or on all your social media feeds. And we will let you know exactly when all of our Strange New Worlds content is going to be coming up, the live chats, and how you can participate. And please make sure that you subscribe to us. If this content is, meaningful for you, at patreon.com/missionlog. It only costs you as much as $1 a month to join our Discord. We would love to have you there. And we would love to hear what you think about Strange New Worlds and what you expect from the new season coming up sometime here in mid-July, July 15th, I believe.
June?
I'm sorry, June 15th.
I was like, 15th. Sooner than July.
Thank you. This is why Holly's here, because she keeps me on my toes, because obviously I can't remember dates.
Yes, the Mission Log Live will be back on June 12th, right 12th. Before the premiere. So you guys will have a little bit of a preview.
I'm surprised that people in chat are like, no Norm. So thanks for that. And that's it. That is my short spiel on Mission Log Discord and Patreon, because we have two guest stars with us now. We still have Dave Blast with us, but I also would like to introduce someone to the show. And I've been waiting a long time to say this. I'm going to take all the credit for it. I'm going to give Earl a little bit of the blame for this. But ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the man who brought the 25th century's favorite dipshit from Chicago to life, Captain Liam Shaw himself, Mr. Todd Stashwick. Welcome to the show, Todd.
So good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. So this is your first time with us, and this is the live show, and we're going to probably get some comments in here from the chat. We have Alan here, but before we get Alan in as a caller, I'm sure that Holly and I have a few questions for you that we just have been dying to ask you.
Bring it on.
All right. So that's the Holly attitude. So bring it on, Holly, if you have any questions. If not, I have one for Todd. I've been dying to ask him.
You
not
go.
The dipshit part.
You go
okay.
If you have a question, a dire question.
Well, something that Todd, you're very active on social media, and I think that ever since we were introduced to Captain Shaw, this is a character in the span of, say, 10 episodes, has gone from probably one of the most disliked to one of the most beloved and probably one of the most redeemed in such a short time span. How did you do that? How did you do that? We know the answer, but how did you respond to all of the roller coaster of emotion that was the responses of fans and social media?
How did I respond? It tickled me. Something you can't anticipate. I showed up to work a year and change ago and shot for 6 months, and then it gets launched out into the digital stratosphere, and then suddenly you start seeing the feedback. And as far as the arc of we hated him, we loved him, well, that was kind of built into the structure of the show, right? He starts out pretty acerbic and poking at the eyes of the legends, and so people don't like having their legends' eyes poked, and then slowly but surely, I knew where it was going, so it was kind of fun to watch, to know that we would be turning the page on this guy week after week and revealing a little bit more. And I knew somewhat by episode 4, when we kind of dropped the Wolf 359 bomb, that people would at the very least kind of grok why he is who he is. But in terms of the memes and the feedback and the conversation, it's certainly super humbling, and it was certainly it just tickles me. It tickles me.
You brought up the Wolf. That's the other question I had for you. You brought up the Wolf 359 speed. So are you a Jaws fan?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so
Look at all the toys behind him. It looks like he's a fan of
boy.
everything.
Ridiculous.
a lot of people in the chat are like
by
mentioning
the way,
toys.
so the other day, here's a little fun story. The other day, I was invited by a friend of mine who's deeply involved with Brit Week. His name's Nigel Daly. He's like, you must come to the coronation party in Santa Monica. Sir Patrick's going to be there. I'm like, oh, awesome. Yeah, I'll come say hi to Patrick. And so I drove down to Santa Monica, and I'm ushered out. They're like, "Oh, we'll greet him at the car." And I'm like, "Sounds great." So I'm there, and I'm there with this woman, Deborah, and Nigel introduces me to Deborah. He goes, "Oh, this is her father is a very famous actor who most known for his role as Quint in Jaws." And I'm like, I'm about to meet Patrick with the woman who my character was named after. And that was completely serendipitous. And I just had to tell her. It tickled me.
I mean, were you channeling Quint in that scene?
No. I mean, I was playing Shaw. Like I was playing the character that was on the paper for me, and his personal experiences. Obviously, the verisimilitude with Shaw is the. I mean, he was that speech and that character was kind of the inspiration for his name. Obviously, we couldn't have called him Quint because it would have been a little too on the nose. But that character, that speech was the inspiration for the character. But channeling Robert Shaw, no. I mean, the man is iconic, and I wasn't even going to attempt to try and duplicate his performance. And it was more the spirit of the the dark. Intimate scene that slowly you go from this sort of buoyant scene with Patrick and Ed sharing stories, and then it turns dark, and that's sort of the same shape of the scene in Jaws while they're comparing war stories.
Scars,
and
then
it turns. So I think that's about where the comparison ends in terms of structurally and thematically. Here's a man who was hiding a very deep wound, and it kind of all comes spilling out in a bit of an intoxicated moment amongst his peers. Yeah,
it was a great scene. There's a lot of people in the chat that are praising you. Todd nailed it.
So
and
kind. So kind.
some other people, somebody's asking actually who your favorite captain is.
Kirk. That's the one that I started with. I mean, I was 6 when I got my first Kirk action figure. So I always connected to him because that's what I understood as Star Trek. I started watching in 1974. So he, and then Wrath of Khan and the motion picture, Undiscovered Country, Voyage Home. Like, so Kirk always, when someone says Star Trek to me, immediately I think of the yellow shirt and I think of it's my ship. Like that's what comes to mind first. That being said, I've obviously seen more episodes of Next Gen than I saw of the original series, and the Next Gen was appointment television for me just after I was a young actorling in Chicago, because that was early 90s. I would come home from bartending at Second City to watch episodes of Next Gen first run, because unless we videotaped it, we may have videotaped it. Remember videotaped it?
You have to videotape it if you left the house, especially like the end of Deep Space Nine when it started getting serialized.
So crazy.
We're going to jump into Alan. Sorry, Alan. I know that we're keeping you on the string here. But one thing, though, is we still have Dave with us. And your very first scene, Todd, was with Captain Shaw eating a blue steak. Dave, did you have anything to do with that? Setting the meal, setting the table for that first, legendary meeting between Shaw and Picard?
We had to build it. We had to turn the La Serena into Shaw's mess in a very short amount of time. We're like, where the hell do we put like a dining thing? And then it was just like the nerd stuff that you think you're like, I wonder if they like sit around like talk. And yes, we figure it out. We have these discussions about what kind of food, what's it going to look like? Is it going to be blue? What kind of alien would that be that it's blue? And is it bad? Are we saying he's eating Orion? And no, he can't do that. Like what? And then we have these deep dives into like, what could it be? And what do you put next to it? That
was that
Yeah, and well, it was the whole thing, and then it was like, oh wait, is it coming from a replicator? And no, Shaw would be like old school, and he has like so there was gonna be like a carving chef next to him, and we had that all set up at one point. And yeah,
Space meat. Yeah.
Space meat is a thing.
Because
Fans
that
want to know.
actually even gets a playoff later on because it's the cook that is then taking over the. He's like, I'm just a cook, and it's like, yeah, there's a cook because Shaw had to have his special dinner, like, you know.
That's the guy that made the blue steak?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ties together.
It's also the first beat of throwing shade on Chateau Picard, which then becomes a runner through the whole season.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. That's why it's always funny to me to hear other like Star Trek professionals talking about like what they like the conversations that they had, because they're so ridiculous and fun. And it's like at some point you're like, I can't believe that this is my job.
Yeah. The levels, they extend. I mean, if you're a fan, the levels of your fandom are going to extend into, hopefully inform like what you're doing there. That's fantastic. And I was this years old today that made the connection with the chef.
The chef is the one that made the blue steak.
Thank you, gentlemen. That made my evening. Now I'm going to make Alan's evening. Sorry, Alan. Alan is our next caller. Alan, welcome. And say hello to Dave and to Todd.
My God. I mean, I will wait for however long it takes to get stories like that, because that's crazy. And, for anyone who wants to know the value of calling in, it's being a fly on the wall for all of that.
In the green room. That's right.
But just guys, I want to say that I have such appreciation for what you guys did on the show, especially this season. Dave, thank you for all of this, and Todd. Norman, you cracked the seal earlier. So
no,
Todd, I may be merely a dipshit from Schaumburg.
Where in Schaumburg? Where do you live?
I'm down on the Hanover Park side.
I grew up in Hanover Park.
Oh, dude!
I grew up on Brockton Court North off of Laurie Lane.
Nice.
Yeah, Tradewind Cinema was my cinema.
Yep.
Come on.
Yeah, I'm near. I'm near Wise and Spring Scoot.
Yeah, you are.
Yep.
Oh my God.
So we would take Spring and Scoot and Wise Road. We would take that Schaumburg Road to go to Moondog Comics and the Hobbyist, which is road by my D&D dice. Come on.
Oh my God.
Wow.
This is amazing.
Yeah, keep going. I'm loving this.
I grew up in Hanover Park.
Nice.
I worked at the Seville. That was my first job as a bus boy.
Nice. We had
I worked at Woodfield 5 through 9 at the movie theaters inside the mall.
The inside theaters. Oh my God.
I worked the premiere of Batman in '89.
Oh wow! I might have been there that night.
I am 100% the dipshit from Chicago, as stated in.
Oh, that is amazing!
On screen.
That is my mind is further blown.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I still go back. Like I go back to Huntley. My mom lives in Huntley now, and so I just was back for Gary Con, which in Lake Geneva, the big D&D convention.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was gonna say too that to be perfectly honest, prior to Picard, my first touch point for you has been D&D stuff. So it's always crazy.
Not Fiddler on the Roof at Hoffman Estates High School.
Well, I was a Saxon, Todd. What can I say?
I went to Adams. Do you go to Adams?
I did go to Jane Addams.
Shut up!
Oh my God.
Right down the street.
Yep.
Right next to St. Marceline's.
Yep. And Atcher Pool.
Yeah. Oh goodness.
Come on.
This is the best show ever, by the way.
This is amazing.
Well, that's actually funny because that's how Terry and I first met in the interview. We started talking.
Yeah.
But we both went to the same. We both went to the same college together. And then I'm like, oh, did you have this teacher? And he's like, yeah, we're still friends. And then that's how we actually really connected. It turned out we knew all the same
nuts?
people. Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, Alan, you went to what year did you graduate Schaumburg?
96.
Okay, so I'm a little older, but like by a decade. But don't worry about that. Yeah, I graduated 86. Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
bonkers. It's bonkers.
You know, I had questions, and now my mind is blown.
I was the Stranger Things kid playing D&D in 79 and 80, riding my BMX bike in Hanover Park, Illinois.
So you were Hellfire.
Absolutely.
You were Hellfire Club then.
I was Hellfire Club.
Todd, did you see the D&D movie?
I did.
Did you like it?
I did. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun.
I don't even play D&D, and I thought it was delightful. All right.
Well,
I've heard
yeah,
nothing but
change
great
that,
things
Holly.
about that. I've nothing but great things about that.
I have
movie.
so many friends that play D&D, and I just never got into it. But I was like, this is it going to be approachable for some? And it was delightful.
100%.
So
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really fun film.
Hey, Anjali,
stuff.
I love being a fly on this wall too. Believe you me. So, in the chat, yeah, this is fantastic. And we're going to rename the episode "Mission Log 6 Degrees of Chicago." 6 Degrees of Chicago. So, Alan, how's your heart right now?
Oh yeah, I'm
Fluttering?
doing all right. I'm hanging in there.
Alan, you're a big D&D player, so you're saying
Yeah.
that your class right now is Bard, or you main a Bard?
Well, I've been a bard. I've been a bunch of things. I just started a Spelljammer game, so D&D in space as an artificer, and my bard character. We just kind of put that on pause and restarted, and I might be a warlock. We'll see.
Nice.
Oh,
Little
you
Eldritch
necro.
Blast. So
Yeah.
how about this? I started the D&D club at Jane Addams Junior High School.
Nice.
Yeah.
I wish
There you go.
I wish it had
I
still been
petitioned.
there.
No, you can
Wait.
find out.
Yeah.
What? Go ahead.
does it still exist?
I doubt.
I
I
have
mean,
no
maybe there's
idea.
another one, but this
There-
literally was 81. Yeah.
Alan, it wasn't there when you were there?
No,
As far as I know, no.
Yeah, so you really were a Strange Things guy.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
No, I mean, literally Hellfire Club. I would go after school. We petition, and I remember we petitioned the AV department. They wheeled in like a 1/4-inch tape where we watched Hawk the Slayer as a
Yes, sir.
as a collective bunch of nerdlings. Yeah, it was fun.
Here's
Greatest. Okay, got a question. So Todd, Talk the Slayer, better with the greater weapon, the Mind Sword or the repeating crossbow?
Well, I would say repeating crossbow
There you go. That's what I say.
because
The Mind Sword's, the mind. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Alan, repeating crossbow or Mind Sword?
well,
You know,
who am I to disagree?
Your call's longevity depends on this answer.
Yeah, well, my artificer has a thing called a repeating crossbow, so I'm going with that.
Very cool. We're gonna get to Brandon in a second. I want to just give you
Yeah.
a little bit of time here to actually ask the Star Trek question, maybe that you wanted to ask.
Yeah, what was I going to say? What was I going to ask? First of all, well, just one little thing, one more little question. Do you remember ever going to a little mini strip mall arcade over by the Long John Silver's on like
Yeah,
I think it was right by.
It was Just Games.
Yep,
Dude.
there you go.
100%.
So yeah, Star
100%.
Trek question.
You had me at Long John
No.
Silver's.
Yeah,
I know. It's like,
well, that's good too. I don't think that's there anymore.
I was like, I don't think it's there anymore either.
Nope.
It was off of Barrington, right?
Could be. Yeah.
Barrington
Yeah.
and Schaumburg.
hmm
Right.
You have a
around there.
great
Yeah.
memory for the old neighborhood. I mean, like a steel
Oh, yeah.
trap.
This, I mean, these are
These streets are written in our
bricks.
blood.
Yeah.
Norman.
No, these are the bricks that formed like who I am. And
Yeah.
Yes.
it's funny because I had this conversation with so many people. I get a lot of the you're a nerd. I'm like, I think a lot of us, especially early like Gen X actors in their late 40s, early 50s, we all had the same influences. We came up as Spielberg Lucas kids.
Yep.
Mhm.
And so with D&D, with video games, with arcades and all of that. And so all of those things were
There's
the
D&D,
soil
DT.
the soil that fed our our collective imagination. So I'm probably not a rare thing being a nerd actor. I'm just loud.
Well, it's been awesome. I will ask one serious on-topic question. Sorry for derailing the show, everybody. But this has
No,
been
that was
amazing.
entertaining.
Yeah.
No. So
Loved it, dude.
the big, if I may speak in the words of our people, there's your first officer Trixie. She brings these jagoffs, Picard and Riker, onto your ship. They go into the bridge. They're in the front room. They take up the big chair.
The front room.
The front room. Yep.
Oh my God.
I didn't
This
want to
is
get
amazing.
too. I didn't want to get too technical
Monday,
there.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
They broke a couple two-tree laws, but
That's Christ. Yeah.
but yeah, your big relationship arc this season was with Jerry and Seven of Nine.
Mhm.
I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about your process going through that, your what you saw as sort of like Shaw's journey with regards to with Seven, and how you think it all played out.
Yeah, it's funny because the big topic that many of the fans dealt with, which was the dead naming of 709, and that was a very important kind of social issue that was highlighted in their relationship, and then obviously you see sort of where his pain and trauma comes from in relationship to the Borg. So he sort of puts blinders on when it comes to her Borg nature, because he actually, and which was revealed in the finale, he actually had tremendous respect for her. He had that's the reason he chose her as a first officer, is she was able to externalize things that he wasn't able to do himself. Like, he needed a reckless person on the bridge to be that counterpoint, to be that other voice. He was a smart captain who goes, it's not my way or the highway, just because a lot of people like to paint him as by the book, and he is structure and procedure, and like, yeah, because that keeps people alive. I mean, chain of command keeps people alive when you're in crisis situations, because it lends clarity to crisis. And so he knew that having an alternate view than his own makes for a good first officer, so that you don't have a yes person in that position. And he also understands that she's a courageous human. She has been through trauma herself, and so I think whether he was able to overcome his own issues through the course of it, he always, underneath it all, had a tremendous amount of respect for her, even if he wasn't polite about it. It wasn't like he was stuck with her. He chose her, and that says something. And so I think they landed that quite nicely. I mean, he was going to give her the promotion anyway, prior to leaving for Wrighton System. And so I think in his dying breath, when he finally gave her the respect that was due, he was going there anyway. It's just his time was limited now, and he sort of skipped to the end. You had sort of an arc happen in moments in his dying breath.
And it's not like his entire day was thrown off course, like in the most major way, right? He just woke up, it's like, I'm going to have my steak. And then these two guys show up, and then all hell breaks loose.
It's been a weird day.
Yeah, it's been a weird day.
Yeah.
These things happen in Starfleet. Well, Todd, again, thank you so much. It's been great reminiscing with you. And,
say hi to your mom for me.
Absolutely, my mom, dad. Yeah, they're still there.
Guys, go to Malnati's, have yourself a deep dish, have a great time. Maybe a Dr. Pepper or Mr. Pibb.
It's good stuff.
Wait, is that a Chicago thing?
Oh,
Dr.
yeah.
Pepper's?
Malnati's?
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Pibb.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
They got bottomless root beer at Barnaby's. You got to check it out.
Oh, Barnaby's, God. Oh,
You're welcome.
Oh man, and just as a side note, loved Shaw. I have literally, these guys can attest to it, sung his praises on this show in previous weeks.
I actually sent Todd a message about when you did that.
That's very kind.
Yep. So I'll cede the floor to Brandon, but it's been a blast, and have a good night, everybody.
Thanks, Alan.
I'm done.
Bye, Alan.
Bye.
See you, buddy.
Bye.
All righty. All right, Brandon.
Little Brandon.
Glad that you're here.
In the Middle Earth.
Yep.
Not in Chicago, in the Middle Earth.
Showing
I
off
can
your,
possibly follow that. I have no idea.
no, you bring your own A game.
He grew up in our guest room.
Yeah. There you go. Showing off your Tolkien fandom.
Yeah.
There. And you always have. You've always been a Tolkien fan.
Oh yeah, I love having. I've got the good captain behind me.
There you go.
But is there anybody here I can bond with over like the South Bay in California or something really quick? Or
wait, you mean South Bay, San Francisco?
Yeah.
Oh. I live in a South Bay, but I live in a South Bay of Los Angeles.
I was SoCal, dude. I was Huntington Beach for a while, so sorry, bro.
Swing and a miss for me. I had a couple questions. First one is just a small one for Todd. Did you get to choose from whence Shaw was a dipshit, or like did they say, hey, he's from somewhere, where do you want it to be? And you said, Chicago.
Terry wrote that in the script, I think as an homage, or I mean, you can totally hear it when I say commander. Anytime I say commander, I hear my Midwest roots come screaming at me. No, Terry put that in there. Look, I've spent my life just trying to be Bill Murray, and so Terry often celebrates that a little bit with me. So I think and Bill being a Chicago boy and a Second City boy, and me being a Chicago boy and a Second City boy, I think he just was like, you know what, let's just lean into it. My dad fixed machines for a living. He was, name stitched over the pocket, first to leave the house, last home, and never complained about his job. And so I tried to. My dad knew how to fix cars, and he was a very tactile, hands-on guy, and so I tried to put a little bit of that into Shaw. But no, that was all Terry's doing to make him a dipshit from Chicago.
Well, that's cool. My bigger question for both Dave and for Todd, I had a screenwriter once tell me there are answers for even the questions that don't come up on screen. Is there an answer that you guys had to a question about your contribution to the story, to the fiction, that exists for you, even though we never got to actually see it on screen? Something
a headcanon.
Yeah, headcanon.
Dave?
Yes, there's an engine room, but it's beautiful.
Yay!
Right here. The engine room's gorgeous.
Well, you see the nacelle room, the nacelle shield room.
Yeah. And Dave, you were talking about that a little earlier, how you had to basically build a set like around Todd or over Todd, and you had a bunch of people using levers.
Yeah, well, that table was quite the little conundrum, and then getting Todd into it, and with this little roller creeper to get in there and do the thing. So it was, but yeah, everything was, you get into the episodes and you have a bunch of things put on top of each other, and then you're like, oh wait, that one little space has to play as 5 things in the same episode, and then you're pulling your hair out. But the headcanon, the engine room was amazing.
And for me, I think I literally was just talking about it, which is we never on screen knew that Shaw chose. I think it's assumed that a captain chooses his first officer, and we've seen it on screen on Discovery and the like. We watch it happen, but I think a lot of people thought. I think a lot of people thought that they were stuck with each other.
That Seven was assigned to the ship?
Yeah. I think, but I also think, I don't think that's how it works. I think captains choose their first officer. And like I said, we watched Burnham do it. So that was something that I think, not necessarily headcanon, but it was an off-screen thing that I understood that was never shown on screen. Or stated, I should say.
Awesome. How much did you know about the whole storyline from the beginning? Was it sort of, hey, I got a little bit more as we went, or was it, here's everything?
I knew all about the Wolf 359 stuff going in. So I knew that was kind of his fundamental tragic, for lack of better words, his tragic backstory. I knew that, so therefore I knew how it could affect and color the dinner scene, just like from the onset. Like, so I knew this about him. And then a lot of stuff was I would find out, a script or two in advance.
Okay, so they didn't come in and say,
"You're dying" on day one. No, they didn't.
We're gonna make them hate you, then love you, then kill you.
You know what? I think Terry did say something to the effect of, "Oh, they're gonna hate you and then they're gonna love you." He sort of said that to me in terms of the fact that they ultimately make him a big damn hero, and so I think
that's very Broncos of you, right there.
Yeah, and it's also very similar to the kind of structure of a role that I played on 12 Monkeys, where I started out as an antagonist and then slowly turn it around so that he has a hero's arc. Now, the funny thing, the difference I think with Shaw is it wasn't a redemption arc. He didn't have a redemption arc. He was a good captain from the get-go. He had flaws, and him coming to terms with his disrespect of Shaw, or of Seven, that had to be addressed and had to be overcome. But he didn't have to redeem himself. He wasn't a bad guy. He was just again, if somebody had come onto the Enterprise and said, Picard, we're going to take your ship, and your first officer is going to disobey a direct order, and those two guys that are going to want to take your ship are going to steal a shuttle and really put your entire crew in danger, what would Picard have said? He would have said no. So it's just the fact that I did it in a very dismissive way, and it sort of flew in the face of their plans, which is, in my opinion, really good storytelling. You don't want anything easy. You want the grit that makes the pearl. But so we kind of knew people were going to bristle at him or delight in how bristly he was. That's the other response that I've seen it get. Like, oh, I loved him giving them a what for.
Well, I mean, it was such, I remember doing it in the second episode. It was such a contentious moment. And I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and I said, okay, so imagine this. Imagine you sit down, you're going to have dinner, with a friend or with your family. And it's like your evening's planned perfectly. It's quiet. And all of a sudden, these two people come out of nowhere with muddy boots on, walk through your hallways, sit down, and just say, you know what? We're going to throw a party in your house.
Take your
just
shoes
because,
off.
Because, we're older and we know better. How is that going to make you feel? When they're like, yeah, I kind of get what you're. Well, that's exactly what they did.
And then you pile on to it the fact that he sees them as reckless cowboys. So he's, he smells bullshit a mile away.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way that these two guys are coming on to just, run drills. Like, this is, and I know for a fact, and, and this has come up in conversation too. I don't think he understands that Picard becoming Locutus, or making decisions as Locutus, realistically, it was a possession. He was hijacked, but Shaw goes, their behavior prior to that, in his opinion, they were out in space poking bears. And when you poke bears and bears claw you, and then those claws then extend and start clawing other people because you've now enraged a bear, he holds them responsible for that.
Right.
And whether it's realistic or not. Whether it's realistic, I mean, he's literally suffering PTSD, and so his version of the truth is very skewed because he lost people he loved because of the actions of the Enterprise crew.
Well, I think in some cases, some people would argue, well, it's Picard and Riker, and we're like, well, yeah, but as Shaw said, this Admiral Picard retired. It was just so sharp and so literally true. Right. I think the audience were like, how dare you talk
Oh,
to Picard like that?
They don't like
You
that.
know? No, but I think it was
They like
it was
that.
like you said, it's the grit that makes the pearl, and it made it a wonderful start for.
And it was
Sean.
refreshing and what's the word I'm looking for? It's sort of subverted expectation.
Absolutely.
I remember after, seeing the first few scenes, seeing Shaw in the first couple episodes, I remember turning to my wife and saying, "This guy is pissing me off." Fun to watch though. Real great to watch.
And you have made mention of that on the show. I remember that was kind of
Yeah.
like one of your things. You're like, I don't want to dislike him. I dislike him, but I know that it's going somewhere. I just have to be patient.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us were like that. And I think it was the beauty of the character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Todd, we have some questions in the chat for you. Jennifer is asking, did you have any homework for your role or not, since you're a Trekkie? My father, who is a Trekkie, and the reason why I'm a Trekkie, furthermore, wants to know if you actually watched the episodes as
Yeah.
a fan.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, it's like I have all my Migos right here. I'm a bona fide Trek nerd. I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of them. I mean, I think I was not a person, and especially back then, we would watch the episode and then we'd talk about it, but it wasn't like I didn't have it on repeat view or anything like that. And I was pursuing my life as an actor in those early 90s, and so I didn't really. I was outside chasing my own dreams. That being said, in answer to the first part of the question, yes, I did rewatch Best of Both Worlds, part 1 and 2, as part of my homework to prep to go. Wow, where's the USS Constance in this?
Yeah.
Where is? And that's a fun fact. The USS Constance is named after a painting from 12 Monkeys. Which was then in turn named after one of the women who worked on the crew.
Pretty cool.
There's a lot of 12 Monkeys Easter eggs all throughout season 3 of Picard.
Well, Brandon, we have time for about one last question, and we're going to have to wrap up the show.
You're up, Brandon.
Oh, wow.
He was so enthralled. Nope, he was so enthralled by what you were saying.
Okay. Let's talk about a different place geographically. But no, I actually, that was all of my questions.
I'll talk about Middle Earth.
Oh,
We can go
that's great.
deep on Tolkien. I just finished the Silmarillion.
Oh, nice. Nicely done. Yeah.
That is phenomenal. So this tapestry. I always have to give credit. I am a huge Lord of the Rings fan. This tapestry is actually my wife's. And she's the kind of amazing person who you can just sort of throw a question to, and she'll be like, "Well, I don't know the answer, but," and then she answers the question.
Yeah.
You're like, "No, you
just know, yeah. I have a rug of the Shire in my nerd lair.
That's fantastic.
my mouse pad is Middle Earth right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a great mouse pad.
Thank you. I've shown you this before.
You have.
Yeah. So next time we have you on, Brandon, and next time we have these fine gentlemen on, we'll talk a little bit more Lord of the Rings, and Middle Earthy stuff, because it sounds like Todd can go a couple rounds with geekery. I think, and I'm sure Dave could too.
I actually hold the record for the most photos taken in Hobbiton in one 24-hour period of time. I had my birthday party there for my 50th birthday party under the birthday tree.
In Mata Mata?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Gorgeous.
I love Mata Mata, dude.
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
hoping to
I
get
like-
there this year.
I have like 5,000 photos that I took. Like I had 3 different cameras, and it was insane. Did the
It's-
whole tour, got a VIP tour of
Do the
Weta.
dinner. Oh yeah.
Mhm.
My goal is to get the gentleman that did the Hobbits, all of the Fellowship tattoos. 'Cause
Uh-huh.
I'm getting the Tree of Gondor.
Yes.
Put here. But I
Cool.
want to do it in New Zealand from that person,
Oh,
That's amazing.
if they're
Yes.
listening.
7 stars, 7
Yeah,
stones, and 1 white tree. There
My
you go.
wedding band is actually the one ring made by the guy who made it.
Dude, keep it secret, keep it safe. What are you doing?
Oh,
I love how we turned the show into a Star Trek show to the Lord of the Rings show, and all the fans are out there in the chat loving it.
Yelling nerds at us.
yeah.
Nick, who works for Star Trek Online of all things, is
we're gonna
yelling
have-
nerds at us.
We're gonna have to get some kind of campaign going, whether it's D&D or Lord of the Rings or something when we go to Vegas. Yeah, so
I'll play D&D in Vegas.
yeah, absolutely. We should roll some. We should roll some characters.
There.
All right. So I'm sorry we have to wrap up the show, but I just wanted to say thank you, Dave, and thank you, Todd. This show, I mean, it was magical because it went like directions I never thought it would go to. I mean, we went to
Hanover Park.
You know, we went to hometown for Todd. We went to
Park,
Hobbiton.
Illinois.
You know, we and Dave gave us the magical connection between Blue Steak and one lone cook
Thanks,
who
Dave.
became a
Great seeing you, Dave.
pilot extraordinaire.
We only barely saw us like 3 times.
I know. I only saw Dave maskless a few times.
No, thank you guys for being here so much. It's very
Thanks
special
for
to
having
us. And this is our wrap up show for Picard, not only season 3 but the series in general. It's been a magical journey. It really has, and the goodbyes are tough. And we've had several, just kind of like the end of Return of the King. You know, so we're squarely in Hobbiton. There's going to be no scouring of the Shire.
Can I finish with one real quick story? And this is
absolutely
to Dave.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm home watching episode 9 with my wife, and I had not seen it, and I'm watching me cradled in the arms of Jerry, and I'm watching him dying, and I'm okay. I'm just watching, you know, and it's emotional, it's wonderful, the music's swelling, and I'm good. And then about a scene and a half later, when those bay doors open and we see the Enterprise, I'm crying.
It can do that.
That's when I lost it. And when Riker goes, "We're the crew of the Enterprise," I'm like, "Yes, you are.
Yep.
You so are." I was a puddle, but yeah, my own demise didn't move me much. But seeing the crew back on the bridge wrecked me.
That's exactly what Doug was saying. Doug was like, "If you want Starship love again, you're going to love Picard season 3 because it really did return to the Starship love." So,
I like
gentlemen,
your shirt, Dave.
Thank you.
Oh
And the hat too. I'm representing.
I have my ship right there.
You
there you
already
go.
got it?
Yeah, I got the.
Yay! Todd? Did you see my shirt?
What does it say? Mission Chicago. I want that.
see
It's a Chicago Enterprise.
I know. It's got
It's a deep dish.
It's got a deep dish and 2 hot dogs.
you know,
I
Holly
love
was
it.
telling me that she had a bad deep dish pizza experience the last time she was there, so we're gonna have to fix that.
The Chicago show last April, I was like, I love pizza. I need to get a deep dish. I've never had one in Chicago. I've never been to Chicago. And I went out with one of the licensees, and I was like, this is not impressive. And I was talking to a friend about it, and I was like, it was like soggy and raw in the middle. And he was like, that's not how it should have been. I think you got a bad deep dish. And I was like, that's my
There
only
you go.
experience, though.
Not that I want you to. We'll take care of you. Don't you worry about that.
You
All
said
right.
so. Holly looked at the place. You said it was Paisanos out there by McCormick Center. So
We're gonna have a conversation.
Okay.
there we go. And Dave says in chat, he mentions Lou Malnati's. Lou's is my favorite.
Yeah.
I know that you have others'
Lou's good.
favorites, but I know
Giordano's
Lou's.
is good.
Yep, Giordano's, yeah.
Montevideo is good. Nancy's is good. Leona's is good. Gino's East in LA is
Yeah.
good.
Oh, wait, there's one here?
On Riverside.
Oh, okay. We're gonna have
there's
a
Gino's East.
Mm-hmm.
conversation.
Now you can get real.
So
Deep dish
for
pizza.
the finale, I watched it in my house with Terry, Walter Koenig, myself, and we ordered deep dish.
There you go. Where'd you get it? Oh, from this place?
Gino's East.
From Gino's? Okay.
Gino's
On
East.
Riverside. Okay. All right.
On Riverside Drive, yeah.
Good enough?
I feel like
Authentic enough?
I just feel like I've been duped. I feel like it's like deep dish pizza has been misrepresented for me.
It's not your fault.
No.
It's
That's said.
It's your fault.
Yeah.
You went to one place.
Yeah.
No offense
You
to
gotta-
Paisanos. I'm sure
Yeah.
they're doing booming business.
And you probably just did a one-off pizza, which is terrible. You know,
No,
It's
I
like
did, which is why
you
I was
had-
like, oh, maybe I just
Maybe you had an angry chef that day. I don't know.
I don't know either. I thought, and having no sort of comparison, I was like, is this just the way that it is? Because this is unimpressive. And then somebody's like, no, that's not. And I was like, oh, well.
We'll take care of you, Holly.
Okay.
So to all the Chicagoans out there that are listening to our pizza wrap-up for the show, tell us how we can take care of Holly, because this cannot stand. But until then, though, I'm sorry that I have to wrap up the show, guys, but we are a little bit out of time. Please stick around for the after party if we have one. And Mission Log Live is produced by Roddenberry Entertainment, technical production on Mission Log, and Mission Log Live by the inestimable Earl Green. Be sure to visit podcasts.roddenberry.com for the latest from Roddenberry Podcast. If you'd like to support Mission Log directly, give us a look at patreon.com YouTube.com/Mission Log. Thank you to Dave Blast. Thank you to Todd Stashwick. And of course, thank you to Holly for being here all of these weeks that we've covered Star Trek Picard Season 3. Now, remember, we're going to be off for a few weeks as we realign the bridge chairs to get ready for our coverage for Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2. So thanks, everyone, for supporting us for all of these live shows. And we will see you next time. Will be June 12th.
This is a Roddenberry podcast. For more great podcasts, visit podcast.roddenberry.com.